Hey guys, welcome back. I thought I'd do something a little different and actually do a review of a piece of gear that I own today. I don't really do reviews and that kind of thing, and I'm not really into it, but I was looking at upgrading this tent, so I'm thinking about getting something new, and I was doing all my online research and watching YouTube videos and that kind of thing. And then to compare, I thought I'd look up the tent that I currently have and see what people were saying about that. And when I did that, I couldn't really find anything, like very little on this tent online. So I thought I'd throw up this quick video and just maybe help some prospective buyers if they're having a look at this tent, and just let you know what I think about it, having owned this for several years now. So this is the Denali Zephyr 1 hike tent. It's a one-person tent, reasonably lightweight, reasonably priced, with reasonable features. I guess if I had to sum it up, it's pretty middle of the road. So for those of you who don't know, Denali is the sort of store brand for Anaconda, which is a big outdoor chain store here in Australia. And I think their focus is pretty much on that moderately priced, decent gear. And that's pretty much what you're going to get with most of their products in my experience. So this particular tent I've owned for about 5 years. I've had it in all kinds of conditions. Solo hiking, it's definitely a one-person tent. It's not freestanding, so you do need to peg it out to get a proper pitch. And it has a vestibule for your gear. It's a sort of tunnel type tent with the entrance in the end, in the head end here. Weighs about 1.9 kilos, which is alright. It's definitely not an ultralight territory, but for this kind of tent at this kind of price point, I think it's reasonable. It's currently listed on the Anaconda website at $249.95 retail, but the club price is $149.95, and obviously that's the price you get. All you have to do is give them your email address and whatever. So $150 for this thing, and for that money, I think overall it's a pretty good buy, and certainly there's no big issues that I've had with this tent. Nothing that would make me sort of not recommend it. The only reason I'm thinking about upgrading is because I've had this for quite a while, and I just want something a bit lighter and maybe a bit nicer. So definitely that means looking at the slightly higher price points. But if you are looking at this sort of $100 to $200 kind of range, then yeah, I'd recommend it. Let's have a look. One thing that I really don't like about this tent, I didn't know this at the time when I bought it, but I've grown to loathe it actually, is the entrance is here in the head end of the tent rather than in the side. So what that means, I'll show you. So we pull the fly back, we've got the inner, which is just your standard mesh style inner, and then to get into the tent, you really have to crawl into the tent like this. But when I'm sleeping in the tent, my head goes at this end. But when I'm getting into the tent, I'm going head first. I mean, it's not a huge issue, right? But I'm going in like this. And if you have gear in here with you in the tent, it's just a bit of a hassle to kind of get in and get turned around at night, you know, and kind of mess up your sleeping bag and all that. So what I would prefer is something with a side door, which just means you can basically just get straight in and not have to worry about it. The other thing obviously is that if you have some gear that's down at that end of the tent, you have to crawl in down to the end of the tent to get the gear and then bring it back out. So again, it's not a showstopper, but it's just a little inconvenient sometimes. Once you get into the tent, there is actually a decent amount of room. So I'm around sort of 5'11", 6 foot-ish, and it's very comfortable for me. I've still got plenty of room down at my feet, and you know, your head goes into this corner a little bit, but it's never been anything to worry me. Maybe if you're like really tall, maybe look for something else, but I'd say like 6'3", 6'4", you'd probably get away with this no problem. So this area right here is the vestibule. Again, it's not huge, and my problem with it is that it's right in the entrance. So if I'm in here and I have my pack here, then I have to sort of step over my gear to get in and out of the tent, because there's only this one entrance, right? And that is a bit annoying to me, especially, the middle of the night, kind of have to get up to pee and end up tripping over all your stuff, and then it sort of goes everywhere. And I'm not a big fan of this tunnel with the entrance at the end, basically, especially with the vestibule there. That's the real thing that does it for me. But in general, I've seen similar designs where the door is in the side and it's sort of a longer door, and I think that makes a lot more sense. It just makes life a little bit easier getting in and out and getting your stuff in and out of the tent as well. So what else have we got? In here, not really anything to note, really. Got a couple of pockets in here, one here and one on that side, and that's about it. It's pretty bare bones. None of these fancy light pockets and hooks and things like that. But if you're solo hiking and you're just needing some shelter for the night, then that's fine. So yeah, let's have a look at the outside. Alright, so coming around to the back, or the foot end of the tent, and I've noticed something which actually leads into my next complaint, I guess. You can see this peg has come out. Now, I haven't staked these in properly, I just wanted to set it up for the camera, but the problem is, at this end of the tent there's a lot of rock, a lot of hard ground, and I just couldn't get this stake in. It's not at all a freestanding tent. You will need to use stakes no matter what, and you'll need to use quite a few of them as well. So let me just run around real quick and count these. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay. So I'd say at a minimum 12 pegs is what you want to get a proper pitch on this, which for me it's like 9 too many, really. And I find that pretty annoying, because the places that I tend to hike have often got quite hard ground, and having to find a spot where you can actually get all of these stakes in without hitting too many rocks and things is a pain in the ass. Also, just the amount of effort required. Like, it doesn't take a long time, but it just seems like unnecessary effort to locate and bang all these things in, when something like a dome tent just saves you a lot of trouble. And at the end of a long day's hiking, that can be quite annoying, to be honest. So the stakes themselves are pretty run-of-the-mill. They're alloy, quite lightweight, pretty soft, so they bend fairly easily. If you are going to go for it, I'd recommend just getting some nicer ones, maybe some titanium stakes, and don't mistreat them, basically. But bear in mind, you're going to need to carry 12 of them. It also poses a problem if you're hiking on a trail where the sites have got platforms. Obviously you can get rocks and sort of do things like that, but it is a big pain in the butt, where something like a freestanding or semi-freestanding design will be a lot easier to pitch in a lot of situations. So still down here at the foot end, you do have this vent, I guess it's called a vent, which you can use to get a bit of airflow. The door's at the other end, so if you have that open, you can get sort of a cross breeze. It's okay. It's not huge, and this is supposed to be like a semi-flexible kind of thing in here that sort of makes it rigid and holds it open. Mine's all twisted up and it doesn't really do that anymore, so that's another point against it, I guess. So this is the inner, just without the fly. As you can see, it stands up pretty well with only, I think there's three stakes in at the moment. 2 at the foot end and 1 at the head. And then the poles kind of do the rest. So that's quite nice. I have lost the original stuff sack that came with the tent. I just use one of these compression sacks. So that's the tent and the pegs. That's the poles. It's not too bad. It fits all right in a backpack. And as I said, it's about 1.9 kilos all up. Go over there. So overall, I don't love it. I don't hate it. There are a few things about this tent which annoy me. As I said, having to use 12 pegs to get a decent pitch seems a bit excessive these days. Having the entrance in the end of the tent I find a bit annoying personally, and having the vestibule in the same spot I find more annoying because it's quite a narrow entrance and, as I said, gear's often in the way. I think for the money at 149 bucks, you can't really go wrong, and especially if you aren't really sure what features you do or don't need or do or don't like in a hiking tent, to spend 150 bucks and use this tent for a year or two to find out is probably really good value. I've never been wet in this tent, you know, I've never had any problems like that. Nothing's ever broken. The issues I have with it are more just sort of inconveniences or fairly minor annoyances, which are making me sort of think that I might want to get something different. So yeah, overall, if I had to sum it up in 2 words, it's okay. I don't have a star system, but it's 2.5 stars. Please subscribe if you want to see more hiking stuff and biking stuff and general adventure things and other reviews from gear that I have personally used. And if you have any questions, feel free to hit me up in the comments. I will reply. Thanks for watching.